Okay, so let's look how to transfer this thing over. Alright, so what do I want to do? I am going to just draw an axis, just kind of thicken that up. It'd be great if I had a ruler, but I don't, so no big deal. Okay, so let's fill some stuff in here. I am still going to use pi equaling 12 for this one. So, if I were to do that, that means every one of these tick marks equals 1/12 pi. So if this is 1/12, this is 2/12, 3/12. Okay? So that's the same thing as pi over 4. 4, 5, 6/12, also known as pi over 2. 7, 8, 9/12, just 3 pi over 4. 10, 11, 12, 12, so that's pi. Alright, now you notice, well, let me do the up and down here. Okay, so that means 3 is going to equal 12, so that means I have to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. That's at 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's at negative 1. Okay, so if you notice though, my dots here are at the eighths. So how do I get that? Well, where is 3 pi over 8? It's exactly in the middle of pi over 4 and pi over 2. So I am going to just put a line right there and mark it, 3 pi over 8. And same thing here, 5 pi over 8 is exactly between pi over 2 and 3 pi over 4, so I'm going to mark it right here, 5 pi over 8. Labeling this is important, and so I'm going to put my dots at 3 pi over 8, negative 1, pi over 2, 0, and 5 pi over 8, 1. I have asymptotes at pi over 4. Make sure these are dashed because they don't really exist. And anytime you put something on a graph that doesn't really exist, you use dashed lines. And there we go. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Alright, so now I need to do another period. And this is probably where people really start struggling, is they ask themselves, alright, well, how do I know where this is? Well, the simplest way is to simply look at your graph. You notice that you're going to go 1.5, 1.5. So every 1.5, you're going to put a little mark. So 1.5, 1.5, 1.5, 1.5. All right, so let's put those things. Okay, well, let's see. If this is pi, what's halfway between pi and 3 pi over 4? Well, this is the same thing as 6 pi over 8. This thing is the same thing as 8 pi over 8. So that means this has to be 7 pi over 8. Remember, every 1.5 here, if you kind of look, you're just adding by an eighth. So that means if this is 8/8, this is 9/8. This is 10/8, which would be reduced to 5 pi over 4. Okay, and if the pattern is repeating, that means at 7 pi over 8, there should be a dot down here at negative 1. At pi, okay, and then at 9 pi over 8, there should be 1 also. And then at 5 pi over 4, okay, and let's draw this in. Okay, so let's see if this all makes sense. You know, we said up here that our period was pi over 2. So is 3/4 plus a half equal to 5/4? Sure it is, because 3/4 plus 2/4 is equal to 5/4. Is 1/4 plus a half equal to 3/4? Yes, it is. So my spacing is correct. It looks like I got everything else lined up, and there you go. So again, sometimes it's helpful if people actually just extend their box and just do it all over again. I'm not saying that you should, but sometimes that's helpful, and people can just start labeling things. But you don't have to. I think if you can just do it on the graph, that's perfect. Okay, let's do one more. Okay, let's do this one. Okay, so hopefully the first thing you notice is that this negative is here. So when I'm doing the box, the big difference here is that we are not going to have dots here, here, and here because it's not going to go up in this direction. Rather, it's going to be upside down, so I'm going to go like this. So my graph will look, well, I obviously have my asymptotes. I'm going to do this. Okay, just like before though, everything else is the same. So my k value is going to go right here. Well, that's 2. My asymptote, or probably not my asymptote, my amplitude this time is 3. It's the absolute value of that. So that means I'm just going to go up 5, and I'm going to go down 1. Okay, and let's see, what else do we have here? Let's talk about our h value. Okay, well, there isn't an h value in here, so that means this is at 0. And then this time, our period is pi over b. So my b is 1, so that means it's pi. So that means this over here, if we split it up, would have to be pi over 2, and this would be at negative pi over 2, negative pi over 4, pi over 4. Okay? Okay, graphing. Now this one's not going to be quite as nice. Let's see here if I can kind of think here for a second what would be the best ratio to do. Now, I talked about this the other day. You can always change your scale as long as you change it consistently. So for instance, instead of saying pi over 12 and that 3 equals 12, I can change it. Instead, if I want, I could say I'm going to make pi equaling 4, or pi equaling 6, and 3 equaling 6. Right? So that means, so if I try and draw this, now this might be off my graph still, but we'll give it a shot. I'm going to draw this down here like this. Okay, so if pi equals 6, so that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this would be pi right here. So what that means is each one of these is worth a sixth. All right, so let's see, halfway would be pi over 2. Now looking at my box, I notice I have pi over 4, so halfway, so that'd be right there, that'd be a pi over 4. And this would be my 3 pi over 4. In terms of the up-down, if you need to go 6 boxes to get to 3, that means every 2 boxes, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm going to go up just a little bit more. And there's 5. So I'm going to go off with just a little bit, so I apologize for that. And let's see, so that means go down, this would be negative 1. So let's transfer things. Let's see, asymptote, looks like we have one at negative pi over 4. So that means I got to go over here. So it looks like every 1.5 is a pi and a 4. So that'd be negative pi over 4. And then right here would be negative pi over 2. To save time, let's just do one period this time. So here's my asymptote. Looks like at negative pi over 4, 5. So negative pi over 4, 5, I have a dot. At 0, 2, I have a dot. And at pi over 4, negative 1. Pi over 4, negative 1, so down there. And then at pi over 2, I have another asymptote here. So my graph is going to look something like this. So it's pretty skinny this time. Okay, and there you go. So obviously finding this, now we could do another period, but again, we're going to try and save some time here. So the key obviously is coming up with the box. We'll obviously practice some more. That'll be Monday. You'll get some more practice as well, besides just Friday. But getting the box is probably the most important part right now. Hopefully we can keep doing this, but that's the most important part right now. So hopefully that all made sense. If not, make sure you come to class with questions. All right? Thanks.